It's the music, it's the energy, somewhere Jewish.
Is it facing this way or that way, the camera?
To me,
To him.
if you don't mind. Welcome to the Boys Clubhouse.
Boys.
Yes, we're here with James.
Okay,
Just about in tune.
Before you
It's cold,
start,
you know.
there's one or two here who can't stand music, but don't worry about it.
They won't, they'll like this.
Louis, just to give you a really quick clue, his dad brought WWE to this country.
Well, it was WWF back then.
WWF
It was the World Wildlife Foundation.
Brought WWF.
We cared about the pandas.
To Europe.
Who's his dad there?
You look him up. What's your dad's name?
My dad is not as known, but if you Google Hulk Hogan, Martin Goldsmith, which is my dad, you'll see a picture of them in a cool pose.
He had
picture.
big guys at his mitzvah. Big ones.
Yeah.
Monsters.
It's all real, all true stories. James can testify.
Hey, this is true.
James, were you at my party, Pimps and Whores? You were there?
Yeah, of course.
I put on a nightclub called Pimps and Whores. I don't tell that to
You
everyone.
put on a nightclub?
Yeah, I used to run it.
What was it called?
Actually, the guy just messaged today because I went, listen to this, I'm going to go to the Stiebel, can I get in? And I don't have the code, I've forgotten it. And it's freezing and it's dark because I'm not used to the cold of England. And I'm just like, and again, comes up a nice religious guy, Shimon Cohen. He's one of my oldest friends from Yeshiva. Comes up to me. I go, we got to get a selfie, man. You're the first guy I'm seeing like in Edgware, this time of day. I've just, arrived the day before, but I was busy with family. And it was just so nice. Like we did a picture and I sent it to Mark Boyan, who was the other guy who ran that nightclub with me, Pimps and Whores. And he's the one who's been like pushing forth all those big signs in Trafalgar Square and in New York.
Really?
Yeah, save the hostages, bring them home. All those big signs. He's been pushing. He's like done really well in the media space, and it's amazing. And he said he'd loved seeing the picture. I just sent it to him today. So it's just amazing how everything's so circular. We ran that club, and then years later, I'm bumping into one of his oldest friends as well. Everything flows. That's the point. He asked me before why I became religious. I said I didn't. It's like a journey. It's not like someone made me anything. It's like a journey. We're on a journey.
Always.
And he's been in a journey. We were in camper van days. We're going to get some cool energy going here with James in the house because what happened is, you have to, when I was at your age, it was actually, how old are you, like 18 and that? 17? 27?
Okay, 18, 19, 22.
You look young.
Yeah.
Most people here are actually 20, but usually there's a couple of younger ones.
All right, so maybe a bit younger than you guys, but we went on some cool journeys. And,
We did indeed.
You love the drive, mate. Until then.
I was just in Borehamwood car park actually. It gave me some trauma. That was funny. Adam Fenton running with our bikes because they fell apart. as the crew turned up to do us in, our bikes break. Like how? It's like simultaneously. It's like as if they'd broken it before they turned up. It was really weird. The chains came off.
It was like a nightmare. You're just running through trees.
We got beats in Borehamwood. That was funny. Oh well, so many good memories. Anyway, it's a journey, guys. So what we're going to do at some point when Ari gets back, we're going to do a song. I know you guys aren't so into, or some of you aren't seemingly into it, but this song you should be into it. Originally, it was called Emily, and our other good friend, we went to Prince William's birthday party. Yeah, Johnny Hookup. Yeah, and hello, brother. So we went to Prince William's birthday party. And it was in a nightclub. I'm not joking. I'm telling the real story. And I don't know if you're watching The Crown, but all the girls are around this guy. Yeah, you watch Netflix. I don't know. The Crown has just come out about Prince William's teenage life. Yeah, and all the girls are screaming, and it's a whole scene going on. And we were in his birthday party, so he had some pretty girls. Yeah, let's say. And I saw this one blonde girl, and we were a bit players back then. And I was the kind of guy back then, that confidence, I said, that girl, the prettiest blonde girl there, she's mine, yeah? And I went up to her, and she was. And she used to travel all the way from town, from Centre. Emily. Yeah, Emily was still sending me letters in Brighton when I was in university. I was still getting letters from her years later. But she yeah, she used to travel far to come see me because she was like all the way in like, you know, the posh part of town, to come just all the way on the train. Anyway, why I'm telling this story because I wrote a song called Emily, and then as I started getting on my spiritual journey, not religious but spiritual, yeah, I wrote a song called Family, and it fit perfectly Emily. Like Emily transformed or elevated to the level of family. So it wasn't now about the girlfriend, it was about now the next stage, family. And it still fits, the chords, everything, it works. So we're going to jam that, I think. We did that once in Jerusalem, remember that? He came once to visit me and with his family in Jerusalem, and we jammed it. Anyway, it's been amazing. Like I need to talk real now for a little bit about the whole war and peace, real talk. Like my son today, he's in Khan Yunis. I don't know if you know what Khan Yunis. You know what Khan Yunis is? It's the hot spot in Gaza, in South Gaza, and he was 75 days non-stop from Lebanon to Gaza in the army in the same boots. I think they changed uniform once in that whole time period, and living in Gazans' houses. He's in one of the top units there. Burke is at Masha, so we're going to have him in mind tonight, whatever we're doing for his safety and all his friends' safety. Today there was some real action going on down there. It will come out in the news, I'm sure, soon. But we're on the army chat, yeah. And unfortunately there was real action. And thank God his specific group are okay, but not thank God, but the unit is not okay. His unit, there's a lot of injured soldiers right now down there. It's got really heavy. It's been a really dark day today down there, apparently. So even though there's a lot of miracles going on, that my son and his unit are well, but we have to have in mind all those souls that it's not well. So crazy days, you know. I come to London and like one of my uncles drove all the way out from Bournemouth just to come hear about what's going on and reconnect. Because people really care about family when it comes down to it, especially in this kind of situation. And even if there's different ways of viewing the whole situation, in a real way, we have to really talk about, you know, that there needs to be a war on terror, there needs to be a war on evil. Just like I was listening to a documentary on Netflix, and you should check it out, Second World War. They've like brought back to life all the footage from that time period and coloured it in and brought it alive, literally. It's amazing. It's only 6 episodes, and it's, if you want any like insight to what went on there, it's a really profound, powerful way of watching it. And you hear Winston Churchill, you know, saying, and Roosevelt was sort of following in his footsteps. So Winston Churchill saying that there's no like room for any mercy in this situation, which is hard because the world wants to have compassion on people, which is a good thing, and the world's got to a point where it does have compassion and there is much more inclusivity and acceptance. But at that time it was so clear, oh amazing, we've got to go on, that there had to be full-on attack to the enemy because it was a fight against evil. It was a clear fight against evil. And even though civilians and things, you know, there were price to pay, there was a terrible price, hundreds of thousands of Germans were killed, but they had to win that war. And you know what happened in Japan, a bit more complicated with the nuclear bomb, but nevertheless, like, there had to be victory. It was a war with evil that time. And in some ways, like the terror organizations are a war with evil. We're fighting them, and it's not just in Israel. If we don't deal with it in Israel, if we don't get it right there, how to deal with this threat, then it will spread worldwide, and it already has on some level. So we have to really shut it down right now, like the power, the influence to create negativity in the world. And you know, the freedom for the people and all that stuff will happen in the right way, not from terror organizations. It will come from the right agents of goods, people who truly care and don't take the money and corruptly use it, etc., etc. So we're at a very serious time, and my son being out there, when he came back from the only Shabbat, he came back in almost 3 months. He came back to our house, and he, you know, you have to understand, he's coming in fully armed. He's got like, you know, I don't know if I sent you any pictures, but he's got like all his bullets, and he's got his huge gun, and he's got all his equipment, and he's putting it all down, and ended up on my bed, and I'm like looking at this crazy stuff, and during this time period, my wife even had to get armed because she did a Magen David Adom volunteer. My son said to her, based on intelligence, you have to be armed if you're going into Arab territories because Magen David Adom have no discrimination. They help everyone. They help Jews, Israelis, Arabs, Christians. Makes no difference. There's no denomination who they help. And so to her credit, she'll some days be with Arab drivers helping Arabs all day. But she has to be armed. That's what the intel said. You have to be armed if you're going to be inside. But they're not going to provide it. Magen David Adom's not going to provide it. So I didn't know what to do, so I asked around a few friends here and there, and thank God a few guys in Brooklyn helped me. I mean, I ended up paying out most of it myself, but we got hold of a gun, and one of my friends in London actually helped towards a safe, and she's armed now when she goes out and does her volunteer work, and it's been a crazy few months. So my son finally comes home for one Shabbat, and one Shabbos, and is like lit up. He's not like, messed up, traumatized. He's lit. He's alive with energy. He hasn't had a phone for like 75 days. He hasn't touched a phone. No phones. Yeah, if he got on a phone, it was like borrowing a reservist. But imagine like no TikTok, no nothing. He's like cold turkey from a phone, and he said it's one of the best feelings he's had. Like he felt alive, and
19. How old is he?
He's 19. Yeah. And he also had such crazy stories, first-hand things, like all the stuff you've seen in the news, pretty much, not like everything, but the big major moments, like finding those big tunnels with the jeeps going through and all those big moments. He was there. It was his unit finding those big tunnels. It was his unit finding a lot of paraphernalia that proved, unfortunately, they're brainwashing the kids in majority of the houses that he went to, to hate Jews, anti-Semitic materials, Hamas uniforms in many of the houses, constant weaponry, even finding some of the hostages stuff, because that's why they go to house. He slept in hosses night after night after night, each night at a different house, because they have to go and check out the house if there's any terrorists there, if there's any hostage evidence there. And they found a passport from a Thailand guy, they found a bus pass from an Israeli. Like, it's real stuff going on. Like, he's encountered Hamas a bunch of times, and one of the worst things is they capture the Palestinians. They like force them to stay, and they use them as human shields. And one of the worst scenes he remembers was them walking out of the house with babies wrapped around them, Hamas guys, so they wouldn't get shot. They were like properly using them as shields. Like no other human being would do that. That's like crazy. And he's been in situations where bullets are flying over him and he's down and he can't move, and his unit have to figure out how to like get him and a few of the other guys who got caught in the fire, how to get them back into a safer place, into a house. He's been in those like life and death situations already. Unfortunately, many of the people in the larger unit have been killed. His specific group, thank God, I know 20 of them, they've all got through so much. They've now recently gone up a few levels and they've joined on with higher level units. So that means they're going after the heavy guys, and they're also guarding a lot of tunnels down there in South Gaza. It's heavy stuff. And having him home and hearing firsthand all this, it was overwhelming. I was listening to a class of Rabbi Shlomo Katz, where I live now, this rabbi there. He's a very special person, very beautiful community in a frat. And by the way, when I turn around, I've got like an army around me when I go pray, yeah? Because everyone's like armed to the teeth. It's crazy. I personally don't have a gun, but most of the people where I live do. And Rabbi Shlomo Katz doesn't, but he was speaking today about some deep stuff about the situation. And he then suddenly, about 32 minutes into the class, he suddenly mentions my name, and he says, and Eli Goldsmith's son, the holy soldier, and he says his name, Burke, and he says he came to my house. I brought him. He was only home for a day and a half. He used that time. He went to the Mayan. You have to understand. He went to the mikveh Friday. Yeah, he knows from the status. He went to the mikveh Shabbat. He prayed, he ate with us, he told stories, he had to pack his bags and leave as Shabbat ended. Like, it was crazy, like the time frame, and yet he still found time to come meet with different people in the community. So we took him to Rosh Shlomo Katz. He walks into the house. Now, this is the first time he's having Shabbat in a few months. He walks in, and the light of the house blinds him. He's like tripping from the light. That's what the rabbi said, and he was. There was a good language he used. He was tripping from the light. Because he'd been every Shabbat till then using glow sticks and being quiet. Like one of the craziest scenes he sent me was a video where you can hear him making the blessing on a menorah, and all the soldiers are there. and they're like getting more and more into the blessing and the prayer you say as they're lighting the menorah, and this energy, this tension, because suddenly all the captains are like, shh, because if they hear, a missile will come flying into their house, yeah? Like, you can't make noise, you can't bring light, you have to do it in closed windows, blackened windows, you can't make known where the IDF are in Gaza, it's the security risk. And so you see this tension of them getting more and more into the experience of lighting the menorah, and then at the same time they're having to like quieten down, and like they're being shussed, and it's like this intense tension going on, and you see this light in this dark room, and it's crazy. Like they've really gone through crazy stuff, but he brought that back home. That was the amazing thing. And Rav Shlomo said he was, because he's going through what he's going through, and he's doing it with his whole heart. Like, he really believes. How many sites of missiles they've caught, like, that weren't set off, thank God. And they feel that they're saving their people, they're protecting, not just that, they're protecting the Palestinians also, because a lot of the missiles miss and end up in their own place, yeah? So, like, they just felt like they were saving lives. And they feel that they're doing something so meaningful, and it was very inspiring to be around him. And he's gone back, and he's focused. And he said when he gets out, this is the best thing. The most recent call he made from this place, Khan Yunis, this intense place. I don't know if he was allowed to make the call, but he managed to make a call. And he said over there, my son, he said when he gets out, he wants to travel a little bit, but not like you hear about Israeli soldiers. They go off and they like party. Like, he wants to go and like see his family in London. He wants to go with friends who are more mature and responsible. He says he wants to find a wife, like a real wife, a real lady. He wants to do a real good job and like settle down. Like, he's 21. He's only turning 20 this summer, and by the time he gets out, he'll be 21. Hopefully, he'll survive this whole thing, and we'll hear only good news. And this is what he wants to do. He's thinking about his life, like all those quiet moments when he's guarding a tunnel or whatever it is. He's thinking all those nights sitting in a blackened out house in Gaza. He's thinking about what he wants from his life. So it's like matured him in years, this whole experience. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the good side of this whole war, that people are growing, people are becoming, I felt like I had a teacher in my house. Like, he was like my new rabbi, literally. And everyone felt that who bumped into him while he was back. And the rabbi, Shlomo Katz, not only did he bless my son, but he asked my son to bless him. Yeah. And he said the other day, this Shabbat, he said, where are you getting all your inspiration from, Rabbi, right now? Yeah, imagine, he's going from house to house visiting people, mourners. It's very not inspiring, yeah? It's very painful. I mean, some of the mourners are very inspiring because of their belief, and the way they're coping with the whole situation is unbelievable. But he's going from, he's a rabbi of a massive community. He's a very famous person. It's a big responsibility, his position. I've been with him a few of those trips. It's crazy going from this house to that house and seeing the parents and all the different reactions. Well, we went to one house together in Tel Aviv, near Tel Aviv, and also in Tel Aviv. And the father said to me personally, he said to me, enough of all this, like, we've got to be a bit more Moroccan. You know what Moroccan? If anyone knows Moroccans, they're fiery. Yeah, it's like a joke in the Jewish world. They're right Moroccan. You know what I'm talking about? He said the Israeli needs to be a little bit more Moroccan now. This is like serious, because he just lost his daughter in that festival. So he's not going to be like, yeah, let's all hold hands and dance kumbaya. Like, people aren't talking that way. It's very emotional. But one of the beautiful things of Shlomo, what he's done, he said we can't get overly emotional. We've got to always bring it back into our value system. We've always got to bring whatever emotions are feeling back into our value system. Anyway, when we were speeding back from Tel Aviv, the sirens are going off. It's a crazy experience. You're on the roads and you see everyone pulling over and getting out of their car. So I looked over to see what was Shlomo, because the driver was wanting to see what Shlomo wanted him to do. What did he do? He said, keep going, and we just sped along. But it's an intense thing. Like, everyone's pulling over on the side of the roads, and he had a close situation where he pulled over on the side of the roads, and where he pulled over was an empty field, and the Iron Dome doesn't detonate the ones that are going to land in a Mokum Patur, in an empty space, and it came and landed where he just parked, right next to his car, and he flew from the explosion. Yeah, his car was okay, he was okay, but it was a freaky moment. He came to shul the next day, freaked out, and made a blessing on the Torah, obviously. I'm thanking Hashem that he survived that. But, it's pretty crazy. It's been intense, like, a few months, and right now it hasn't got less intense. People think, it's already been going on, whatever, but it's been intense. So last time I came and spoke more about the Clubhouse and all of that. I tell you what, this place is amazing because the real war is by all of us. This is what I'm trying to say to everyone in London as well. We're all part of this war. The soldiers feel your prayers. The soldiers feel whenever you control yourself to not do something that's going to damage you or a family member or something, or going to damage yourself. Whenever you control yourself a little bit of self-restraint. As Stephen Covey says, you want to know what the key to happiness is? Self-constraint. Who would have imagined that? You think this key to happiness is a penthouse, a lot of swag. He says the key to happiness, and he had money, that guy. He said the key to happiness is self-constraint, because then you feel like you're a master of yourself. You're in control of your drives. You've got some self-respect. It leads to a lot of joy, that feeling of accomplishment. And anyone who holds back on something right now that could damage them or themselves or others, that in a way is another merit for the soldiers. You have to think that way right now. Like, we are protecting all those people out on the front. Every little thing, every little good thought, every little prayer, whatever small thing it is, has a positive effect. And the soldiers are feeling it. As my son said, when those bullets are flying over him and he was on the floor, and the guys around him, his team, because they all worked together, they were securing that he should be able to get out of that situation and make it into the house, because they're working together as a unit. All your little bit more unity, your little bit more Clubhouse action, being together with Nookie and everyone else, that led to him having that protection. If it wasn't for you guys, he wouldn't have got that protection. You know what I'm saying?
Feel it.
Yeah. You got to feel it. It's also mutual the other way. Like, they're doing for you also. They're literally protecting you from terror spreading worldwide. So it's a mutual relationship. We're souls. One of my things is united souls. Like, I really felt that with James, and when we were kids, that was one of the moments that really changed my life. That there was such a soul connection between our crew, even when other people came along, but it wasn't like the same kind of. You're always going to have those special souls in your life that you really bond with, and it could be you crew in the Clubhouse are like souls joined together, like going through this journey, going through the challenges of being a teenager and in the early 20s in 2024. It's not an easy time, for any kids, for any young adults. Joe Rogan says your brain only getting somewhat together by 25. So up until that point, it's a rough ride. Yeah, we can all testify. We've all had those early years. Yeah, we didn't really know. It's like a bit confusing. I'm not saying that, son, you get it down by the age of 30. You're like this master, but you're starting to get a little bit more clarity. Like, you're on the right road, hopefully, by that point. But the point is that we have to really strengthen ourselves. That this is the real war. The real war is with every single one of us internally, and I see that with my son, that he's winning the war by the internal battle. What's the internal battle? That he's got the right mindset. He's focused. His mindset is clear. When you talk to him, you're talking to someone who's clear, and you see that that's the key to the success of the individuals in this situation. That they're joining together as a group with clear-mindedness. They know what they're here for. They know what they're doing. They're very clear, and they're very perceptive of their own internal stories. And it's amazing, like some of the trauma's coming not just from the from the terrorists. It's coming also internally from the army, because there's a lot of rules of what you can do. You can't just take out people. There's rules how they have to do it. And that can also create trauma for the soldiers, that they're feeling a bit like overly, conscious of if they killed someone, did they do it the right way? It's all videoed, everything. They have cameras on their helmets. Everything's being videoed, what they're doing. So they're being watched also from within as well. So it's like a tightrope. They're walking this narrow bridge the whole time. I just saw like an Instagram video today. I don't know, it caught my mind, and it was all these guys riding on narrower and narrower, like on bikes, narrow and narrow places, like on the edge of waterfalls and dams and buildings, and it gets narrower and narrower. So I wrote underneath, the world's a very narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to be afraid. Who knows where that's from? Anyone knows? Rabbi Nachman, yeah. The world's a very narrow bridge, and this guy Instagram's inspired me that concept. They're getting more and more narrow, and yet they're still going forward, still going ahead, still balancing, not falling either side, jumping even from place to place on the bikes. I don't know how they do it, but these guys are amazing. But the point is, the key is that they're not afraid. Yeah, we should maybe sing that at some point, maybe. I don't know, sing it now. Let's sing. It's not the time for family, but anyway. I'm not such a guy to sing that song. I don't know. You want to sing it? Anyone want to sing it? No, I don't feel it.
You feel it.
I'll sing something else. We're going to sing this family song in a minute. Anyway, I want to just, before I do, I just want to ask James to say something a little bit. he's been through a lot with me personally. He knows my flow, and he's also got his beautiful flow. His amazing journey from graffitiing in my room in Edgware to like having this creative empire that's inspiring so many other young professionals to use their creative talents. For me, it's one of the most inspiring journeys I've seen by anyone in business, because not everyone gets to do what they're passionate about, and he really is. So, you know, he gets to talk about it publicly. I've seen it, heard it. So I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, am I? No.
You are, but I'll take it.
Okay. Come sit next to me, so the good old life. You mind?
No, not on.
No. Okay. We'll just hear his voice. Okay. Go on then.
What can I say? I think it's really important to find what's inside, which makes you feel alive. Like, kind of like what you're saying, and trust that instinct and intuition. And yeah, I was definitely someone who didn't know what they wanted to do, but knew I always had creativity in some way, shape or form. I learned to play the drums, and I got really interested in graffiti and music and bands, and just kind of went to university to study music and art, started a project which I did as my final degree show. It's about connecting people to art, but making it more accessible to people, thinking about it from being an artist, but also being someone in the world who finds it like quite alienating walking into an art gallery or feeling quite intimidated by that whole thing. And yeah, that project I've continued to do for the last 20 years, and like I've done a recent project around here at Wembley Stadium when they were building the new stadium. They needed art on the walls, and through a serendipitous sequence of events, I had a picture of one of my pieces was on my mum's wall, and I think it was her cousin came over and saw this piece on the wall, and he was in business with an ex-England footballer, and he knew the then CEO of Wembley Stadium, and he saw the picture on the wall. He's like, they're going to need stuff in the stadium. Do you want to get involved? Do you want to like have the opportunity to meet this guy and tell them about what you do? So I was like, yeah, 100%. That's an opportunity I can't turn down. And for everything I had, I do this with a friend of mine, very close friend of mine. As soon as I graduated, I was like, you need to come with me on this journey. I've got an idea. I think it's going to be something interesting. And he like makes up all the things that I'm really bad at. He's really good at. We're two completely opposite people.
Best partnership.
Yeah. And I wanted to go on the journey with someone else as well. Just thought it would be more fun, and you know, I could get more done. I didn't think I had it in me to do it all on my own. Anyway, so we pitched for Wembley Stadium, and we put everything we had into this presentation and this proposal, and at the time we thought it was the best thing ever, but it was, I mean, if you look back at it now, it's total amateur hour. And it was like, we bound it, we printed it, we thought it was really good. And then they called us back in for a meeting, and so actually we celebrated our 20th year.
Wow, congrats.
This year, and
amazing.
And someone asked me, we had a party, someone asked me what the best moment of the last 20 years was, and I was saying we got called back into Wembley, and we didn't know we'd won the project at this stage, and they sat us down and they started rolling out these huge plans of Wembley Stadium, and we could see acrylicized, that's name my business, like on all the plans, and you're going to be doing this area and this area and this area. And I was sitting with my business partner, and we're just like, shit. So I was like, I just need to go to the toilet. And I like went out, and then he came out 2 seconds later. We literally like high-fived in the corridor, like went mad for like 5 seconds, and like put ourselves back together, walked back into the room and carried on the meeting as if nothing had happened. We had to have that moment. But
you're still having it till now. That's the most amazing thing.
Yeah,
20 years later.
Yeah, and the only thing that I know, because I really genuinely know nothing about business, really know nothing about anything other than to be present. I think the entire journey has been about being in the moment and figuring it out in that moment and taking a step, and then that step leads you to the next moment, and
amazing.
You know, using what you've learned from your experience, you kind of just make a play, whichever play feels right, trusting your instinct and intuition. And you will either learn something from that, or it will take you to the next stage. And I've continued to do that for the past 20 years, and continue to live my life like that. And it's helped me in good stead, because I think there's a lot of talk about listen to everything on the outside, but I think it all comes from listening to
internal.
what's on the inside. Yeah. We have everything we need.
By the way, his top is one of his like fun brands, like side thing, no?
Yeah. I have a clothing brand, Shesh, actually.
Shesh.
Yeah.
That was, you used to do that graffiti like back in the day.
Yeah. So just expression, truth, expression, connection, love. That's the circle. And yeah, from jamming for years and going on mad adventures and like it's a fun journey. Yeah.
We're here for the ride together, guys. It's not like a lone journey. That's a very important thing, to know you're not alone. You've got your brothers, you've got people who care about you, you've got the Clubhouse. They really care about you guys, like sincerely. I know that for sure. Like I've seen Ari and Lolu, and I don't know where Nookie is. Last time I called him a werewolf. He's coming. Yeah, so Nookie's on the way. I've seen these guys like all night, all day, going out from, I don't know, since when? Beginning of 2000. Yeah, could be that long. I mean, it's over 20 something years also, no?
Yeah, 2001.
2001, yeah, hear that. More than 23 years. That's amazing. So here he is. We're just speaking about Nookie.
Midnight Rabbi, it's not midnight yet.
I know. Came early.
Midnight Rabbi, guys, you know what
See
it
you,
is? Midnight Rabbi.
Do you remember him back in the day?
Yeah, perfect. We left this chair for you. We're going to jam a little bit.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not really jamming so much these days. My business is more booking others to jam. I have a Unity Bookings, I have Unity Marketing. It's all about helping others shine, promoting other people's music, talent, speaking. But nevertheless, I still think I remember the words somewhat. So this is a song that was originally Emily from Prince William's birthday party in the 90s to Family in the 2000s. We need it more than ever to be with family. I just actually had all my music deleted. There was a whole story that the guy who paid for the distribution, the card got reported, whatever. So it was a whole story. My music came down, and I decided I've got to re-release this. So I'm slowly re-releasing all my tracks one by one. And this week I released a week before I came here, Family, this song. So it's back up on Spotify, thank God, and YouTube. Apple Music, whatever you use. Family, Ellie Goldsmith, that's the name of it, if you want to find it. We've been considering all of us without the essence of simple trust. All the hassles we won't see, sharing, laughing eternally. Relationships, essential thoughts that have been forgiven. Now my flooding mind, casual decision. This body language is where our heart lays. You never see us down, family. You never see us down. You never see us down, family. You'll always be around, family. Never see us down. Always be around, family. Speed up a little bit. On the next part. Everyone sing along, let's just jam. Let's make some noises, man. Eternally, family. One day they'll reach, you'll never see us now. Family, eternally. Clubhouse boys, let's rock and roll. Clubhouse boys, let's get some soul. Clubhouse boys, we've gotta go. Hey! Look around quick and see what life from all of that. Relationships, essential thoughts that have been forgiven. Never flooding mind of casual decision. His body language is where our heart is elevated to a special place. Oh yeah, you'll never see us down, family. We'll always be around. You'll always see us round, family. Eternally. Oh, family. Always be around, family. Open your hearts to see the place and this truth explore. Open your heart to know the way. Eternity explore. Open yourself to see the place, to hear the day, to know the way of eternity with family. Family, Clubhouse boys will go. You will go beyond the hurt and pain. Thank you so much. Let's keep singing along. Yeah. Woo! So that was fun. Having James here took it to a different level. I really felt that. So, and you guys, you're contributing just by being part of this. So I really appreciate it, listening and sharing. And I'm going to ask you now if anyone has any questions. That's I hope James doesn't mind putting one on the spot again. But if anyone wants to ask anything, it's so important that we hear what you're feeling. You've also got your message. I can learn from you guys more maybe than you can learn from me. So if anyone wants to ask anything or say anything, please. Anybody? Whatever you're feeling. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. It could be like, we've got a guy who's really achieved in creative space and business. You've got a guy who's living in Israel and really trying to bring a lot of light as much as I can to.
How did you become successful?
Me personally?
James, question for James.
James, he's the success story. I'm more like the.
You get there.
Well, it depends what success means, really, doesn't it?
That's true. Good answer.
How we define success.
Well, what was your inspiration to get you to where you are? I know you talked about a bit about painting and Wembley.
Yeah.
And
My inspiration.
side, but
So I mentioned playing the drums, right? So I play drums. So
Thank you for the words.
when I was 6 years old, my parents bought me a drum kit. It was like a cheap Toys R Us toy drum kit. And I remember it took me ages to learn to play. My dad taught me first beat was Sgt. Pepper's by the Beatles, simple 4/4 beat. Just learning to coordinate left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot, and then I finally got it after practicing for ages, and then that feeling that I got was like the most intoxicating feeling I've ever felt in my life, and I think that I've been chasing that feeling ever since. Everything that I've been doing, it's all about that, and that feeling was creative expression, flow. It was almost like I was just a vessel that was coming through me, and I wasn't even doing it, and like that tapped me into something which I didn't really understand. But I think where a lot of where all our creativity comes from is like sort of beyond, and we're vessels for it. And so the thing that inspires me, or the thing that drives me to do all these things, is to feel that feeling. And it's like when you're in that space, and everybody will appreciate and understand that feeling because we've all had it before. Like, you're not trying, it's effortless, time is like non-existent, you almost like transcend the everyday, and you go somewhere where it's just so pure and so real. And like, if we can all get to that place, that's a beautiful place to be, and I think we're all the highest expressions of ourselves.
That's where real peace is. Imagine if then no one would become a terrorist if they're experiencing that kind of. There's no terror, there's no war. It's just about connection and flow, creative energy, and that's why it's so important to help build more creative expressions and outlets. Like what the Boys Clubhouse give you a beautiful studio. I remember in when I worked for all the yeshivas in America, in Eretz Israel, and one of the first things I made sure there was a music studio. We raised money, we got a studio and the drum kit and the music equipment, and it's so important for the guys to have that outlet, to have those creative outlets. I mean, some of the guys told me that just rocking it out on the drums for like an hour or two saved them from doing some crazy stuff. They just get all that emotions and that pent up feelings into the drumming, into the rhythm, into the motion, and schwitz. That just, it's great for the body, great for the soul, and it just schwitzing on the drums. It's, whatever it is that does it for you. Do it in sport. Do it. You have to be creative in how you're doing business. Creative how you even present things. That's one of my things. And right now we're going to be faced with a new challenge, or artificial intelligence. For example, for my marketing company, I've got like some really good feedback about my posts recently, and I said to them, I just want to be straight. It was from AI. Yeah, I just went to ChatGPT or whatever Plus or 4, whatever one it was, and I said, give me this and this and that. It gave the right prompts. I got an amazing post. They said, you write so well. I said, I don't actually write well at all. I said the post came out like professional, crisp. So what's the answer when you're going to have all this stuff done for you? Like same with even image generators now, music generated. It's going to go into the art space as well. And one of the things we've got to figure out is how to bring it back to being not artificial intelligence, but authentic intelligence. Take the same initials, AI, and bring it into authentic intelligence, where it comes, as we're saying already, the internal flow. That's going to be the solution to the whole technological revolution that's going on, that it shouldn't get out of control. They always talk about on all these things, government regulations, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's great, but really the real solution is internal people that are more soul and connected into the flow. Then the technology will have to be respectful to that truth. No problem, man. You're not going to get it from outside. You're not going to get it. AI is never going to be able to come up with that kind of authentic intelligence, that real flow that we're talking about right now, and that kind of feeling, that experience of soul. It's not going to come from there. So that's always going to be the difference. And
it can certainly in time learn exactly what the people are looking for.
It can imitate it, but will never be the real thing. Will never be the real authentic flow.
For those that are listening, 95% of the people in population wouldn't know the difference.
Deep down, they'll know. That's what I believe, that people have self-knowledge, and people, when things get so crazy and artificial and fake, then they're even hungrier for the real thing. They become really thirsty. Like, I've seen it in the Jewish world, Torah world. I'll be honest, that we know this, Ari. Like, he's in the educational space, and you see more than that, more than the educational space, because it's a whole, what the Boys House Clubhouse is like a whole nother thing. But in terms of the space of having to deal with that space, one of the beautiful things that Y.Y. Jacobson says, that our generation are souls of truth. We're not going to accept the old system that was. We're not going to stand for BS. Excuse my language. We only want BSD. We want the real thing. Yeah, we're not going to stand for people who claim they're religious leaders, as you mentioned as well, the guy just went out, all this religious stuff, and they're not really sincere, they're not really caring about soul and people around them, and they're not really compassionate, they're not really living the Torah, the soul of the Torah. You know, YY the other day was crying on a podcast about some of the questions that people are asking in the Jewish world. It shows such a lack of compassion and soul, like basic Menschkeit, Jewish ways of being. It's like, what is going on with these people? Another rabbi, Rabbi Asher Weiss, he said they shouldn't even be leaders, some of these people. He said they should quit being leaders. I've got it. It's a famous recording gone around. What kind of questions came up? So the questions that came up on those bases were, I don't really like repeating it, but without getting too into it, the main point was that some of the religious elements, the so-called religious, they are claiming that this whole army-like situation is creating a weakness in the respect towards the Torah world, and it's going to take away their students from respecting Torah to becoming more supporters of the army. Yeah, which with why it's like crying at that, such a mindset. How can you think that way? These people are saving your lives. It's not even like a thought, and you're so insecure. He said they're so insecure that if you're really secure about your journey and your spirituality, you will never be threatened if a different path is getting more recognition right now. You'd be like, respect for them, because everything I'm doing is about strengthening those people also. Like, I'm not insecure. What are you talking about? So he was very strong on that point. And
I think they felt insecure when reformers kicking in and
no, I don't. I mean, the Chossam Sofer, for example, who was the strongest against reform, who was so strong, his approach, I don't think it came from insecurity at all. It came from such clarity. So that if it's coming from clarity, then it's a different thing. But for example, the idea of having confidence, once again, it's an internal thing. You're not going to get the reassurance from outside. Like even like now, like Baruch Hashem, Ari's just been like got to this MBE. It's a big thing, and it's a big up to Ari. Yeah, good MBE, deserves it 100%. Everyone should applaud. At the same time, I really don't feel like even if it's going to be on his email signature for the next 10 years until he gets his CBE or the next one up, or Sir Ari, yeah, we'll see it, yeah. But that's only in order to help everyone respect the Clubhouse that a little bit more. Not that he needs it, but just that little bit more. And that little bit more make a little bit of difference in this world. You have to be real, yeah. The letters help a little bit, yeah. That's one of my issues. I'm not so good at that. The whole presentation system thing. You have to play the game a little bit. But at the same time, it's not what's going on here. That's not what it's about. I never felt that. And it was like, when I heard about it, I was like, it's like a side thing. It's not like the Clubhouse is about Ari, becoming this hero. It's about you guys all becoming heroes. And Ari's helping that happen. And, it's amazing. The realness of it, we know what it's really about. And because we're here firsthand, so we see the realness behind it. My uncle, he got awarded, I think got CBE, and it was a big deal, in the family, and my grandma was so proud, and she got to come to the ceremony, and it was a big moment for our family. And my father, there's a picture recently of my father standing in Camden, and this is big respect to my father. Like, his brother's got a lot of public acknowledgement for everything he's done, and my father's standing there looking like getting nachas, like not jealousy, nothing, just nachas, pure nachas. That his brother's getting awarded with the Walk of Fame on Camden. I think they have all these like different rock and roll tributes on the street there, and so one of his mates wrote, funnily enough, it was actually one of the famous musicians there. I don't remember which one it was. One of the famous guys, like, what's such a big deal? It just means he's now got his name on the floor where a bunch of people are going to walk and piss and all this stuff. They're making fun of it, the musicians. It's just a bit of banter amongst friends. But the point is that we have to realize that what made my uncle, for example, successful as well, if I want to quote him, is he had two principles that he's told me as well. And I was arguing, I sent him a message today. I said, in my opinion, the time is now, but I want to get active in certain things, to try to get him moving in the space that, I feel like Jewish people need as much support as ever right now, more than ever. So I said to him two things. He needs to be, he said, excuse me, and I said back to him, now's the timing. Honesty and timing. Honesty, you have to be honest with your people, and timing. That was his two principles that led him to so much success in that business, because you're dealing with people that a lot of management or promotion people are not going to be honest, because you don't want to, upset the star. It's hard. You get a lot of yes people around you, a lot of you know what I'm talking about, like everyone's complimenting them and saying how great they are. But comes Harvey, and he even had a show about it. Did you ever see that on TV? He used to go, how did he help musicians? He just used to rip it out, like Gordon Ramsay style, when he goes to the kitchens.
But aren't they doing a stage show of Live Aid?
When?
I think
No?
in the West End, and
wow.
is playing your uncle.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's going to be the kind of stuff you're going to see in that stage show. He'll give it to Bob or whoever. He's not going to be, honeycombing and sweetening everything. He's going to say it how it is. And in that business, you have to be a little bit more to the truth to get the message over to these guys, and they need to get their act together, because they're bumming around being where the art level, the creative space has gone too far, but they're no longer balanced and focused on what they need to do for that night, for that show, for that event, for that album, whatever it is, for that tour. And I know firsthand a little bit of management I did. It's hard space to constantly be on this guy's case who's a celeb, and you have to keep pushing him to get up in the morning and turn up for this and turn up for that. It's a lot of responsibility. So anyway, why I'm saying this all is just you've got to figure out what it is your internal principles are to guide you for that next stage. And I think that's what James did a good job. I think that's what the Clubhouse is all about, helping you guys get there. And having that support is so important. And the best part is when you get to a certain place, now you can give it back. You can help the Clubhouse with their journey continue doing this, and you yourself can be role models in that, in your space. So we'll just say one quick blessing to everyone, and to James and to everyone who came today. Everyone should be blessed. We hear only good news about my son, about all the soldiers. We hear only good news about all of our journey. The Clubhouse should keep growing and growing, and should just keep providing these amazing opportunities. And we know from this week's Parsha, there's miracles going on in Egypt, and everything that happened to the Mitzrayim that was smashing them to pieces was healing the Jewish people more and more. So realize sometimes the darkness that's going on out in the world is about bringing out a deeper light of healing. And even though it's hard to watch the pain outside, my parents took me to a film. I don't usually go to movies, I'll be honest. I went to see Oppenheimer. I don't know why, but that was just not normal. But I went with my parents.
Not normal good.
They took me to this movie tonight. What's Anthony Hopkins? Yeah, was the main actor. It's called One Life, I think. One Life, yeah, One Life. That's the whole concept of the film, because every life is a quote from the Torah, basically. You save a life, you save the world. Yeah. So that was one of the main lines in the film. One life. It's called One Life. Save one life, you save the whole world. So he saved this guy. He was a Jew, but he was not so Jewish, but he still, nevertheless, was a very special person. And he saved 693 children or something from Czechoslovakia. And it just came out now, and I was crying, honestly, the whole way through, because I felt like what's going on here, and when I think of, say, Daniel, our good friend Daniel, unfortunately Oliver Sholem, I don't know if any of you guys knew Daniel. You knew Daniel Burrell. So Oliver Sholem, he's one of the guys who was in here, and we were in yeshiva together in Israel, and from back in the day, and it's very overwhelming to think about his journey and all the other boys that I remember when I worked for Neve Sion, going a few times to Beit Shemesh to watch these guys get buried at such a young age. And you save one life, you save a whole world. And this guy now, by saving those 600 people, he's got thousands and thousands of people alive because of him. Thousands. Because it grows, they have children and they grow, and we have to understand, and not just that, one of the things that hit me so powerfully in this movie, and it's so amazingly acted, is how each person is their own world, literally. And that was the whole painful point. He couldn't get over that he wasn't able to do more. And that's really the kind of feeling we need to have. I always had that image of the Babich Rebbe, or like Moshe Rabbeinu in Egypt. He was fighting with Hashem, I want to get these people out, save the Jewish people. He only managed to save 1/5. 4/5 were stuck there. Yeah. So I said to Rav Orish, I'm going to end off with this question. A question I had to Rav Orish. This is my last point. I traveled for many years with Rav Orish to America, a holy rabbi in Israel. I worked for him for about 5 years, And I asked him on this plane ride to Miami, I sat next to him, and I said to him, what's going to be with the 4/5 in our generation? Because they say whatever happened in Egypt when the redemption then, it's going to be the same now. So 4/5, I'm the 1/5 from my family. I don't want any of them stuck in this crazy world, like in the dark aspect of it. I want all of us to get into a good place, like the way James was describing, that when you're in that flow and that positive space, like, you know, unfortunately, when you're not tuned into that, you can get caught up with all kinds of craziness. I want all the people to get out of this darkness that's going on, where people are in pain and, you know, suicidal and all this dark stuff that's going down, the drug addictions, the internet addiction, and all this distraction and pain. So I want all of our people to be able to escape that restrictive. That's really what Egypt was about. It was this place of restriction and pain, and we have to be able to overcome that through tuning into the soul level. That's the answer. And these 7 habits, these 7 commandments, these 7 ways of values, ways of being that happen in this week's parsha, 7 plagues, and the next week the other 3, and the full 10, this idea of binary, 1 and 0, 10, these ways of tuning into the true blueprint of what a soul's about and what's going to give salvation. That kind of energy that's going on, I want everyone to tune in. So I said to Rav Orish, what's going to be like? So he said to me, don't worry, everyone's going out this time. It's not true. Why? I said, but it's, you know, they don't seem so interested. You know, they're more interested in their holiday to Spain or whatever. So he said to me, no, that everyone's going out, because everyone's nowadays involved somewhere or another. Everyone cares. You see now with this war, everyone's caring about the situation. Everyone's waking up, and not just the Jews. The whole world's waking up. You know how many non-Jewish people we had come to Israel? Like cowboys came from where was it?
Iowa.
And there was a few other places they came from, and we have Druzim who are very close, and you know, there's so many types of people waking up to the situation where they really feel this need to like help support the message of soul and not this message of terror. And this is like what we need to tune into, and this is available more than ever now, this clarity. And we have it within. It's happening. This revolution's happening. This soul revolution's happening. As much as the world seems to get less soulful, the more soulful we're becoming. The fact that the teenage culture now won't accept, you know, they're not going to, even my own son, he's not going to talk to me like I talk to my father. If I spoke the way he spoke to me, my father would have given me but it's because he's such a truthful person. So he won't stand up for my BS. So it makes me a better person by having a son like that. The souls of the generation just getting more and more pure, more and more refined, more true, more real. And that's going to help us become more real as parents and tune into their light. They have I just gave a whole session last night about all the things I'm learning from my kids. I spoke to this like breast of crew in Edgeway, you saw the thing. I just spoke about all the stuff I'm learning from my son in the army, my son in yeshiva, my son in Beit Sefer, my son who just flew to Uman with his own money that he worked so hard for, to the Ukraine and this place and that place. I spoke about my kids because they've become like my own teachers, you know. So look at your people around you as guides and lights, and all the things they're teaching us so much. You know, I have a friend like James. He teaches. I just get so much inspiration. So it's just amazing when you have people like that in your life. Surround yourself with people that inspire you, that add to your own creative flow. And if we're all doing that, it's going to be happy days coming up. Happy days, amen.
Amen.
That's it. Okay, good times.